There are some stories that go beyond superstition, events so well documented, so chillingly witnessed, that they shake even the most skeptical minds. Imagine being awoken night after night by the sound of furniture dragging across the floor, except no one's there. Imagine hearing your daughter's voice deepen, twist, and transform into that of a growling, ancient man. Imagine watching your children levitate, not in a horror movie, but in your own home. This didn't happen in some forgotten, remote place. It happened in a suburban street, surrounded by families, police, and journalists who all witnessed the impossible. This is the true story of the Enfield Poltergeist, one of the most terrifying and well-documented hauntings in modern history. And it all began in North London, England, in the quiet borough of Enfield, 1977. Welcome to Residual Fear, where the shadows are never quite empty and the past never truly stays buried. The home on 284 Green Street looked like any other council house on the block. Modest, weathered, and crowded. A mother, Peggy Hodgson, lived there with her 4 children. Margaret, 13, Janet, 11, Johnny, 10, and Billy, 7. Their father had left some time ago. Money was tight. Life wasn't easy. But that summer, things were about to turn from difficult to horrifying. It started small. Scratching sounds behind the walls. Knocks in the night. At first, Peggy assumed the kids were playing pranks. Maybe a mouse, maybe plumbing. But then, it escalated. It was the evening of August 30th, 1977. Janet and Johnny had just been sent to bed. Moments later, Peggy heard loud shuffling sounds, like heavy furniture being dragged across the floor. She stormed upstairs, furious, but the children were wide-eyed, frightened. No one had moved. No furniture was out of place. Then they all heard it together. A loud, rhythmic knocking. Knock, knock, knock. Coming from the walls, then the ceiling, then the floor. Peggy stood frozen. The walls were silent again. But not for long. Over the next few nights, the activity intensified. Furniture began tipping over on its own. Chairs slid across rooms. Toys launched themselves across the floor. One night, Peggy watched in horror as a chest of drawers slowly slid forward, away from the wall. She pushed it back, but it came again, as though something invisible was trying to trap them in the room. She shouted, "Stop it!" And everything stopped. For a moment. Terrified and desperate, Peggy called the police. When the officers arrived, they were skeptical, until one of them witnessed a chair lift off the floor and move several feet, completely on its own. The officer examined it for wires or tricks. Nothing. In her official statement, she admitted, it was as if someone invisible had lifted it. The press got wind. The Daily Mirror sent reporters. They arrived expecting nonsense, but they too saw objects flying across the room. And then came Maurice Grosse from the Society for Psychical Research, a man of science, a man who didn't believe in ghosts. That changed quickly. The center of the activity was clear. Janet, 11 years old. She began speaking in voices that weren't hers, deep, masculine, and angry. "I'm Bill," one voice growled through her. "I used to live here. I died in that chair." And when researchers checked historical records, there really had been a man named Bill Wilkins who died in that house, in that exact chair, years before. Janet would enter trances. She would wake up on the roof. She was thrown from her bed, caught mid-air by her mother. On more than one occasion, multiple witnesses saw her levitate, not jump, not bounce. Float. Photographs captured her suspended feet above her bed, her body stiff, her face blank. But the horror wasn't just physical, it was mental. The voices taunted them. "Just leave," one voice snarled. "I'll kill you." The temperature in rooms would drop dramatically. Janet's demeanor changed. She grew withdrawn, angry, exhausted. Recordings of her voice shocked everyone. A girl who couldn't normally speak for long without strain could speak in the deep male voice for hours without pain. Researchers even caught Janet speaking while drinking water. They tried everything: religious blessings, exorcisms, sleep studies. Nothing worked. The house was alive. Of course, not everyone believed. Some claimed Janet faked parts of it, perhaps seeking attention. Skeptics pointed to moments where she was caught bending spoons or hiding tape recorders. But Maurice Gross and fellow researcher Guy Lyon Playfair were adamant. Some things might have been exaggerated, but far too much was real. They had hundreds of hours of audio, video, and first-hand testimony, not just from the family, but from police officers, journalists, and independent researchers. Even Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famed American paranormal investigators, visited Enfield. They believed a powerful, malevolent force had latched onto Janet and wasn't letting go. By 1979, the activity had mostly stopped. The family tried to return to normal. Janet went on to live a quiet life, but she never forgot. In interviews decades later, she said, "It was real. It was terrifying. I don't care what people say. I know what we lived through." She described being used as a mouthpiece for something she didn't understand, something cold, something angry. Even now, the house still stands. New families have come and gone, none reporting the same level of activity. But those few years on Green Street left a stain no one can fully explain. So what really happened at 284 Green Street? Was it the overactive imagination of children? A desperate cry for attention in a struggling household? Or did something dark, ancient, and restless make itself known through a little girl whose life would never be the same? Whatever the truth, one thing remains certain. Not all hauntings are confined to Gothic castles and shadowed forests. Sometimes they happen in a simple house, in the middle of a street, in a busy city, where no one is safe from what waits in the dark. This was the story of the Enfield Poltergeist. And if the voices were real, maybe they never truly left.